The warning line. The stars looked cold and distant from the observation deck of the human warship Defiance. Captain Mira Chen didn't have time to admire them. Her dark eyes remained fixed on the tactical display, where 12 red markers moved in perfect formation toward the outer reaches of what had once been human territory. The Voidborn Collective had taken 3 colony worlds in as many months. No negotiations, no prisoners, just silent, efficient extinction. "Status report on the ultimatum," she asked, her voice steady despite the weight of what they carried. Commander Jackson looked up from his console, his face reflecting the blue glow of the screens. "Protocol is green across all systems, Captain. The package is secure and primed for deployment on your command." Mira nodded once. The ultimatum wasn't just a weapon. It was humanity's final response to a threat that had pushed them beyond diplomacy, beyond conventional warfare. After watching millions die on Proxima Centauri b, after losing contact with the research stations on Europa, Earth's combined nations had authorized what they swore they never would: a weapon capable of unmaking a civilization. "All personnel to battle stations," Mira ordered. "Begin broadcast on all frequencies." The crew worked in practiced silence. They had trained for this moment, though none had truly believed it would come. Humanity had always prided itself on restraint, on finding solutions that didn't involve extinction-level retaliation. But the Voidborn had changed everything. Lieutenant Rivera, her communications officer, looked up. "Broadcast ready, Captain." Mira stepped to the center of the bridge, straightening her uniform. The camera drones activated, capturing her image to be transmitted across thousands of light years, to every corner of known space, including directly to the Voidborn fleet. "This is Captain Mira Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiance. This message is intended for the leadership of the Voidborn Collective and any species allied with their aggression." She paused, letting the weight of the moment settle around her. "For 2 years, we have watched your systematic destruction of human outposts and colonies. We have documented your atrocities. We have buried our dead in silence while attempting every diplomatic channel available." Her voice hardened, becoming steel. "That ends today. The vessel I command carries what we call the Ultimatum Protocol. It is not a traditional weapon. It is not a device of simple destruction. What we possess can erase not just your people, but every trace that you ever existed." In the silence that followed, Mira could hear the soft breathing of her crew, each person understanding what this declaration meant. "This is humanity's final warning. One more strike against any human settlement, and we will deploy the ultimatum. We will wipe you from history." She cut the transmission with a gesture. The bridge remained silent until Commander Jackson spoke. "Do you think they'll believe us, Captain?" Mira turned to the viewport, watching the distant stars. "They don't need to believe. They just need to verify." The Defiance pushed forward into the darkness, following the predetermined course that would take them to the edge of what humans had named the Dead Zone, a region of space where 3 Voidborn warships had been destroyed in a previous engagement. It was a calculated risk. The Voidborn would recognize the significance of the location, would understand that humans were not backing down. 20 hours later, the sensors lit up. "Contact," reported the tactical officer. 3 Voidborn vessels on intercept course." Mira studied the approaching ships on the display. "Standard Voidborn formation. They're assessing our threat level." "Are they responding to our broadcast?" Rivera asked. "In their way," Mira replied. The Voidborn never communicated directly. They operated through actions, through demonstrations of force. Their response to humanity's ultimatum would come in the form of either retreat or attack. "Captain," Jackson said suddenly, his voice tense, "we're picking up another signature. I've never seen readings like this." The tactical display shifted, showing a massive anomaly emerging from what appeared to be a fold in space itself. It wasn't Voidborn. The energy signature was completely foreign. Before Mira could issue orders, the Voidborn vessels changed course, accelerating away from both the Defiance and the unknown entity. "They're running," Rivera whispered. The anomaly stabilized, resolving into a structure that defied conventional understanding. It wasn't a ship in any recognizable sense, more like a fragment of architecture that had no business existing in vacuum. Ancient symbols crawled across its surface, pulsing with internal light. "No weapons lock from the unknown," Jackson reported. "But it's scanning us. Deep scans, penetrating all our shields." Mira felt something cold crawl up her spine. "Hail them. All frequencies, all known protocols." Rivera worked frantically at her station. "Nothing's getting through, Captain." "Wait. We're receiving something." The bridge screens flickered, then displayed a sequence of mathematical equations, followed by what appeared to be star charts from thousands of years in the past. The final image was unmistakable, a representation of the ultimatum protocol device they carried. "How could they know?" Jackson breathed. Mira's mind raced. "Because they've seen it before." The unknown entity pulsed once more, then projected a three-dimensional hologram into the center of the bridge. It showed multiple star systems, each containing planets teeming with life. Then a flash of light, and nothing. Not destruction, but absence, as if those worlds had never been. "Receiving an audio transmission," Rivera said. "It's breaking through our systems on its own." A voice filled the bridge, not spoken but somehow understood directly in their minds, bypassing language itself. "You carry the unmake. You threaten extinction. You do not understand what you wield." Mira stepped forward. "We understand enough." "Who are you?" "We are the Keepers. We monitor those who discover the tools of unmaking. We have watched civilizations rise and fall by such choices." The hologram shifted, showing the void-born ships retreating at maximum speed. "They flee because they recognize us. They have found fragments of our warning before." "Warning?" Mira asked. "The weapon you call ultimatum was not created by your kind. It is ancient. It does not destroy. It removes. When activated, it erases not just life, but the very memory of existence from the cosmic record." The implications hit Mira like a physical blow. Earth's scientists had discovered the technology in ruins on Mars, had reverse-engineered what they could. They believed they had created something new, something uniquely human. But if this entity was telling the truth, "You're saying we found someone else's doomsday weapon. We are saying you found the reason there are empty zones in your galaxy. Places where stars shine but no life evolves. Spaces where something was removed so completely that nature itself cannot remember to fill the void." The hologram showed a final image, the void-born homeworld, but with layers beneath it, revealing a much older civilization buried underneath. "They attack because they remember, though they do not know why. They carry the genetic memory of extinction. They were rebuilt from what remained after the last use of the unmake." Mira stared at the image, understanding dawning. "They're attacking us preventively, because somehow they sense we found the weapon." "Yes, but in their fear, they risk bringing about the very end they seek to prevent." Commander Jackson stepped forward. "Captain, if what they're saying is true, the ultimatum is far more dangerous than we realized." Mira nodded slowly. "A weapon that doesn't just kill, but erases the victim from existence itself." She looked up at the holographic presence. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because you have a choice that few civilizations reach. You stand at the warning line." "The what?" "The boundary between being the destroyed and becoming the destroyers." Outside the viewport, space itself seemed to shimmer as the ancient structure began to fade. The voice spoke one last time before disappearing. "Return to your people with this knowledge. The weapon you carry is not yours to use. It belongs to history. And those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it." Mira finished quietly as the entity vanished completely. The bridge of the Defiance remained silent for long moments. Finally, Rivera spoke. "The void-born ships are still retreating, Captain. They're broadcasting something on all frequencies. Let me hear it." The sound that filled the bridge wasn't a language any human could understand, but the emotion behind it was unmistakable. Terror. Pure, primal fear. "Set a course for Earth," Mira ordered. "Maximum speed. We need to report what we've discovered." As the Defiance turned back toward home, Mira looked again at the stars. They no longer seemed cold and distant. They seemed watchful, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what humanity would do next. Echoes of extinction. The Earth Defense Fleet assembled in high orbit, 30 ships forming a protective ring around humanity's homeworld. Admiral Kai Wong paced the length of the conference room aboard the flagship Resolve, his weathered face creased with concern as he studied the data transmitted from the Defiance. "You're telling me," he said slowly, "that not only is our ultimate deterrent an alien artifact, but that it's been used before with consequences beyond our understanding." Captain Mira Chen stood at attention, her uniform still bearing the dust from the ancient structure she'd encountered. "That's correct, Admiral. The entity, the Keeper, showed us evidence that the Voidborn aren't attacking us out of simple aggression. They're driven by something deeper." A holographic display in the center of the table showed the recordings from the Defiance's encounter. The strange mathematical sequences, the star charts, the images of civilizations simply ceasing to exist without destruction. "Genetic memory," said Dr. Eleanor Rice, Earth's leading xenobiologist. "It's theoretically possible. Trauma so severe that it embeds itself in the very DNA of a species, driving behaviors across generations, even when the conscious memory is gone." Admiral Wong stopped pacing. "So the Voidborn attack us because somewhere in their genetic code, they remember being the victims of this weapon. They're trying to eliminate us before we can use it against them again." "That's our theory," Mira confirmed. "And it explains why they never communicate, why they're so methodical in their attacks. This isn't a war to them. It's prevention." The room fell silent as the implications settled over the assembled leadership. Humanity had been preparing to deploy a weapon that didn't just kill but erased existence itself, against an enemy driven by the subconscious memory of having experienced that very fate. "The ultimatum must be secured," Admiral Wong said finally. "No deployment authorized under any circumstances." "Sir," objected General Santos, "the Voidborn have already destroyed 3 colony worlds. Millions dead. We can't become the monsters history has already seen." Mira interrupted. "The Keeper showed us what happens when this weapon is used. It doesn't just end the current conflict, it creates echoes that reverberate through time itself." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. The tactical officer's voice came over the comm. "Admiral, multiple Voidborn signatures detected. It's their entire fleet, sir. Over 50 vessels approaching Earth." The conference room emptied as everyone rushed to the bridge. The main display showed the approaching armada, the largest Voidborn force ever detected, arrayed in a formation unlike anything seen before. "They're not in attack formation," Mira observed, studying the screen. "That's ceremonial positioning. I studied their historical records. That's how they appeared during first contact scenarios with other species." "First contact." Admiral Wong looked bewildered. "After 2 years of war." Before anyone could speculate further, Lieutenant Rivera from the Defiance stepped forward. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission. It appears to be in an early form of human language, ancient Sumerian, translated through multiple algorithms." "Put it through," ordered Wong. The voice that filled the bridge was halting, synthetic, clearly an artificial construction, attempting to bridge an impossible communication gap. "We recognize the Keepers. We understand the warning. You have been chosen, like us." Mira stepped forward. "Chosen for what?" "To remember, to prevent. The cycle breaks with understanding." Admiral Wong exchanged glances with his officers. "They're trying to communicate with us. After all this time." Dr. Rice was already analyzing the transmission. "It's more than that. They're reaching out because of what happened at the warning line. The Keeper's appearance has triggered something in them, maybe unlocked some aspect of their genetic memory that was previously suppressed. We request meeting, no weapons, on the place you call Luna, to show truth. The bridge erupted in debate until Admiral Wong raised his hand for silence. Captain Chen, you've had the most experience with both the Voidborn and these Keepers. What's your assessment? Mira didn't hesitate. We go. We listen. We bring the ultimatum, not to use it, but to return it. 12 hours later, under the harsh light of Earth's moon, humanity faced its enemy without weapons for the first time. The Voidborn representatives were tall, their skin an opalescent gray that shifted colors with their movements. Their eyes, 4 on each elongated face, moved independently, constantly scanning, as if looking for dangers from all directions at once. The human delegation consisted of Admiral Wong, Captain Chen, Dr. Rice, and a small security team. Between them, in a containment field, hovered the device known as the Ultimatum Protocol, a crystalline structure that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The Voidborn leader stepped forward, its movement fluid despite the apparently rigid exoskeleton. It gestured to the device. This awakened memories in all Voidborn, dreams of unmaking. Through a complex series of translators, the humans and Voidborn began to piece together a history neither had fully understood. The Voidborn shared what they now remembered. They had once been a different species entirely, one that had evolved after a previous civilization had been erased by the unmake. The void left behind had eventually filled with new life, but that life carried echoes of what had been lost. We attack because we feel the void within us, the Voidborn explained. When we sensed, the unmake activated. Genetic memory told us, destroy the destroyers. But we haven't used it, Mira pointed out. We found it, studied it, but never deployed it. Others did, before you. The cycle, almost repeated. Dr. Reyes stepped forward. The Keepers, they monitor this cycle. They watch for civilizations discovering these weapons. The Voidborn's colors shifted to a deep blue. They wait. They watch. They warn. But cannot interfere, beyond showing truth. Admiral Wong looked at the ultimatum device. Then what happens now? We both possess the knowledge of this weapon, the capacity to build more. The Voidborn leader made a gesture, and from behind their delegation came another alien form. Not Voidborn, but something else entirely. It was smaller, with iridescent skin that seemed to phase in and out of visibility. This one, survivor, of those who came before us, hidden among us, carrying memory. The survivor spoke, its voice translated into a whisper that everyone somehow heard clearly. The unmake was created by those who believed existence could be curated, that some life was worthy, some unworthy. They used it not as a weapon of last resort, but as a tool of cosmic gardening. The survivor approached the ultimatum device. Each time it was used, it thinned the barriers between realities. Each erasure created wounds in the universe that never truly healed. The Keepers are not guardians. They are witnesses, recording what is lost so that something remains in memory, if nowhere else. Mira understood then. That's why they appeared to us. Not just to warn us, but to witness what we would choose. Yes, the survivor confirmed. Every civilization that finds the unmake faces the same choice, to use it and continue the cycle, or to break the pattern. Admiral Wong stepped forward. We choose to break it, here and now. He turned to the Voidborn leader. We have both suffered from this weapon's existence. Perhaps together we can find a way to neutralize it permanently. The Voidborn's colors shifted to a warm gold. Alliance to end the void. 3 days later, on a platform constructed in neutral space between Earth and the Voidborn fleet, representatives from both species gathered around the ultimatum device. Scientists from both civilizations had worked tirelessly to understand its fundamental nature, not to weaponize it, but to dismantle it safely. Captain Mira Chen stood beside the Voidborn leader, watching as the containment field was slowly modified. "Are you certain this will work?" she asked. The Voidborn's translator conveyed its response. "Not certain. Nothing is certain. But together, we have chance." The combined team activated their solution, not destruction, but transformation. The energy that powered the unmake would be converted, channeled into a beacon that would broadcast a warning across the galaxy. The knowledge would be preserved, but the weapon itself would be changed into something that could protect rather than erase. As the process began, space itself seemed to ripple around them. For a moment, Mira thought she saw the ghostly outline of the Keeper structure, watching from a distance. The ultimatum device pulsed once, twice, then its light changed from absorbing darkness to radiating a soft blue glow. Where once it had held the power to erase existence, it now projected a field that made reality more substantial, reinforcing the connections between matter, energy, and memory. The Voidborn leader turned to Mira, its colors shifting through a pattern she now recognized as their equivalent of relief. "The void begins to fill," it said. Admiral Wong stepped forward. "This is just the beginning. We have much to learn from each other, much to repair." "Yes," agreed the Voidborn. "Together, we remember. Together, we prevent." As the assembled representatives began discussions of formal peace negotiations, Mira looked out at the stars. They seemed different now, not distant and cold, not watchful and judging, but connected. Part of a tapestry that included all life, even those forms that had once been erased. Humanity had delivered its ultimatum to the galaxy, not a threat of destruction, but a promise of remembrance. Not an end, but a new beginning. The warning line had been crossed, not toward extinction, but toward understanding. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Keepers continued their vigil, witnessing not another cycle of the unmake, but perhaps the first steps toward breaking the cycle forever.